off, couple things right off the bat to get us started with this webinar. We do, for those of you, thank you, that wrote in your questions when you registered for this webinar. We did go ahead and compile a fact sheet from those questions. You can access that with the QR code that's on the screen, and I believe someone from UAN will drop the PDF into the chat so you can go ahead and capture that as well. So that might be, as you're entering into this webinar, some of the leading questions that you have might be answered on that sheet. So it might be a good idea to maybe have that up on your screen as we continue forward. Like I mentioned, we want to keep the Q&A kind of continuous through the whole session. So we will utilize the chat feature, but we will get your questions asked of Shannon and the team in real time as we're moving through the presentation. So just really want to encourage you guys to ask anything and everything that might be on your mind. Lastly, just a little heads up reminder that we are recording this webinar. We will have it up on Utah After School Network's website for those to go back and reference. I believe it's also going to be stored in grantee folders through DWS as well. So we'll have lots of avenues for you to go back and reference all of this really awesome information. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Lori Burrell, who's going to kind of give us a breakdown of why are we here? Why are we talking about this? Where is this coming from? So take it away, Lori.
All right. Thank you. Thank you for everybody for being here today. Kind of being able to get a lowdown of what's going on and why this is all of a sudden being required of you as an after-school program. So the Department of Workforce Services, Office of Childcare, receives what we call CDF funding. This funding is federal funding, and this is a requirement of theirs to collect immunizations. So as the funders of your grant, we are being required by the CCDF funding source to make this a requirement of our grants. So that is the big reason of why you need to have these collected. But also as another piece, if there were to be like an outbreak of some type of illness, this gives programs the ability to know who has had these immunizations and who has not. And that helps the Department of Health know where to follow some of those trails for outbreaks. So that is where why this is happening. Along with us from DWS Office of Childcare, we source things out to other departments to help us with certain pieces. So we have the Department of Health and Human Services, who kind of help monitor this piece for us. So childcare licensing will be the monitoring entity for this particular regulation. So your licensor may come into the program and ask you for immunizations, and that is because they are helping us be compliant with this regulation. We also have the immunization department, which is kind of where Shannon comes from, and they are the ones that will be helping you understand this whole USIIS database that is here for us. So that kind of gives you some guidelines of why we're all here today, who we all are. There's lots of us, and we all have a different piece in this whole system of this. Any questions with that? Okay, Holly, I'm going to turn it back over to you then.
Thanks, Lori. Shannon, if you want to bring up your presentation, and I think
Okay,
we're ready to hand it over to you. We're excited to hear what you have to share with us.
great. Good to be with you. Okay, can you all see the Utah Department of Health and Human Services official website? Can you
Yes.
all see it? Okay, great. We're going to be mostly working from this today. Um, just by well, first of all, thank you, Lori and Holly, who facilitated this meeting. And it's such a good idea. And hopefully this will help you get your foot in the door and kind of get familiar with what's expected of you. It may seem a little overwhelming at first, but really there's just a few steps you as daycare after school facilities are going to have to worry about within the system. And I'll go over those with you. So like Holly said, USIIS, it's way easier to say USIIS than what it stands for, which is the Utah Statewide Immunization Information System. It's a mouthful. So we just call it USIIS. We're really lucky here in the state of Utah to have a statewide immunization registry. A lot of states don't have this. So this is going to make your job easier, and it makes our job easier as well. We want you to know it's a secured program, it's confidential, and it'll just have you, it'll help you find the information you need for each of your kiddos. So, okay, so you're on the official website here, but you're going to be worrying about this tab right here. Can you see my cursor here circling around USIIS? So we're going to spend most of our time in here. Just by raise of hands, how many have looked at this website? It doesn't matter if you have or just how many have just kind of gotten on here and kind of looked around. Few of you, some of you, or is this all brand new? So I see a couple raise of hands. Okay, so I'm going to treat it as it's just brand new to everyone. And hopefully it'll be a review for some and helpful to others. So when you get on immunize.utah.gov, you're going to be worried about this USIIS tab right here. And there's several links down here. And we're just going to start with a little bit of USIIS overview. And if you've been looking on this site, you may have already read this, but as I mentioned, USIIS is a secure and confidential information system that helps healthcare providers, schools, childcare centers like yourselves, and Utah residents maintain consolidated immunization histories. So even a resident can get on here and look. You don't have to be a provider. You can look at your information here on this website. So from there, let's talk a little bit about the benefits of USIIS. There's a lot of benefits. I'm just going to list the ones that will apply to you. And those are, it provides easy access to reliable immunization histories for new or current patients. It consolidates immunization forms from all providers into one single record. It saves on staff time locating those immunization records, and it prevents missed immunization opportunities, which I know you're not going to be immunizing, but for providers and things, it's a great resource. Also, how many have you guys all enrolled? Have some of you enrolled? Has the program in itself enrolled? Lori, tell me where you guys are on that. Where you are on that.
I believe we have a very large range where this might be the very first time someone is hearing about this.
Okay.
We have others that might have gotten information prior to this and have gotten on to try to log in and are collecting information at this point. So I think we are all over the board.
Okay, good to know. So if your organization hasn't filled out the enrollment agreement, they would come down here and fill an agreement. You would read the confidentiality and security policy, and that would allow your program to get started. Okay. Once your program has been enrolled, and it doesn't take much time at all, a day or two, I think, to get acceptance. I think the turnaround time is quite fast. Then you're going to be able to log in. If you haven't logged in yet, but your organization has signed up, I'm just going to go over that with you to help you here. So we're going to go down to users. Oh, sorry, back up. Before we go to that, after today, if you go down here to users, here are some user guides. I personally don't feel like they're super user friendly, especially when you don't know what's going on. So once you listen to me today and you get into the USIIS system and you have a question, there's two things you can do. You can go to this portal guide and click on these different links that will help you with your questions, or you can reach out to me, or a third option is you can reach out to USIIS support, and I'm going to show you that later on where that is on this website. Okay, so now we're going to go into login. So by raise of hands, and it doesn't matter, but how many of you have been able to log in? Any of you on this call? Okay, so this is what we're going to do. I'm already logged in, so I'm going to go into an incognito window and kind of show you what that process is like. Let me go. Are you still seeing my screen? I always worry when I'm doing this.
Yes, we can still see your screen.
Okay, great. So I'm just going to go to this oh, let's see. I probably spelled that wrong. Hang on a second. You might want to bookmark this. Okay, so now I'm just in this incognito window so you can see what would happen if you go to log in. So I'm going to go back to the USIIS tab, and I'm going to go into login. And this is going to pull up, okay? And if you
Am I the only one not seeing anything now? It's just kind of frozen.
Oh, you guys, everyone's seeing it?
No, we're not seeing it, Shannon. Sorry. With like maybe that pop-up window is not being displayed.
Oh, okay. Shoot. Okay, maybe it's the incognito window. I don't know. But what I'm in is I'm in the Utah ID sign-in area where you come in and you put your email in. If your organization is signed up, you're going to put your email in. If you haven't created your own account, then you will click down. There's a link that says click account, and you make an account. It's very simple. It's maybe 3 steps, and then you'll be able to get into the USIIS system. And that's once your agreement has been okayed by the state health department and all of that. But when you individually want to get in, you will go into back down to, let me go back here so you can see where I'm at. Okay, so we're back here. You're going to come to USIIS login. Again, I'm already logged in. I put my email in. So this is what pops up. Okay. So from here, there are 2 options here. All you're going to worry about as an after school program is this USIIS Immunize. If you were a facility, a provider's office, you would be pulling reports and batch processes, and that's a lot more complicated, but you don't have to worry about that. You're just trying to gather the immunization information. So you're going to click on USIIS Immunize, and this lovely screen is going to pull up. Now, this is where it can get kind of tricky. You're going to have a student's name, but if you don't put in exactly the right information, it won't find the person. So let me tell you where this might be a problem. Let's say you have a boy named Dave. He goes by Dave, but his real name's David, or it's Davidson or Davis or whatever, and you're not quite sure. So USIIS has provided a way for you to get around that. So what we want you to do when you put in a person's name is put in the first 3 letters. So let's, for example, on Dave, we would put in DAV, and then you put in a little, I'm going to do all this. Then you put in a little percentage sign, which stands for this, they call it a wild card. And then you put in their last name, and then you hit search, okay? And then that percentage sign will pull anything with DAB. So if their name happens to be Davidson or Davis or Dave or Davy, it's going to pull up. And then it'll have their date of birth. And rarely do you have the same person with the same date of birth. So I'm going to give you an example, real live example here. So I'm going to use a test patient. It's not a real patient. We're going to say his name is Benjamin, but it could be Ben, Benny. You get the drift, right? So you're going to come in here, and we're going to put in Ben and that percentage point, like percentage sign that I said, and then you're going to put in his last name right there. And I'm going to just put test because it's a test. And then I'm going to hit enter. Again, if nothing comes up, you're going to have to redo it. But here I've got 4 Benji, Benjamin, Ben, or Benjamins. And I'm looking for the one that was born in April. And so I see it right here. 4/4/2004. So I will click on that patient and his information will come up. So you'll notice here that this red sign comes up that says the record does not belong to your facility and cannot be edited until a unique patient ID is added. It's fine if it doesn't belong to your organization as long as it has the information you need. If it does belong to your organization, then you can put it in edit mode. And if there needs to be a change, like they've had an address change or the race is wrong or the gender's wrong or something, you have the capability of putting in those demographics. Okay, and you just hit edit mode and then you type it in. I can't do it on this one because this one it's not owned by the facility, but I'm going to show you an example in a minute. So I'm kind of jumping around here, but so let's just pretend this is your patient you're looking for. It's the right one. There's the address. So you're like, great, I've got my person. So up here, you've got search, demographics, forecast, and reports. You're really going to be worried about reports, but I'm just going to show you what a forecast looks like. So when you hit forecast, you've got all of their immunization forecast, when things were done, what's past due, all of that, okay? But what you want for your records is reports. So you're going to come down to report, and you're going to notice that Benji, I'll show you in just a minute, but here are the different things. You've got immunization history report, recommended forecast. You don't need to worry about any of that. What you want to be worried about is you're going to come down. Two things. You're going to want to see if there's an exemption. This one says there's unavailable. So there's no exemption for this kiddo. I'm going to show you an example where there is an exemption. So there's no exemption. So you're going to come up here to history and reports. Okay, that's not the right one I want. Sorry. We want a more consolidated one for you. Hang on. So Utah School Reports, and you may be familiar with this card that's going to pull up. Okay, and this is what you want for your records. And I don't know how each of your facilities is going to keep the record. You need to decide, are you going to print them and put them in a file? If that's the case, you'll hit download and print, or you can just save it as well. And this tells you their immunization status, okay? If there's something that is not current, then at that time you talk with the parent, and then they know they need to go get that vaccination. If you cannot find a child, it could be it's because they're out of state, they've moved from out of state. They can contact their old provider and have their immunization records sent to you. So that's really basically what you're going to need for your facility. So let's go back to
Shannon, could we take a pause and we have some
I bet
questions
you have lots of
already.
questions. Yeah. Okay, will you read those questions to me?
Yes, I'm happy to do that. I think so. This is going back to even the login logistics. So we have some folks wanting to seek clarification around, is it best? So I think the answer is the org needs to be registered. And once the organization is registered, then individuals could have a login to the system. Or
Yes,
they're wondering which is best, the organization or individual, or is it a combination of both?
it's a combination of both. The organization has to sign an agreement and read the confidentiality letter and all of that. Once the organization is set up in USIIS, then the organization picks what people within that organization are going to be working in the USIIS program. And then it's those people, and I'm assuming it's a lot of the people that are on this call, you're going to set up an account. I went to that incognito window, but it will, if you go to users and click on that, it will take you on to the window where you sign up. If you already have a Utah ID, many of you maybe do if you work for the state of Utah, you use that same ID or email, and it'll get you in. If you've forgotten your passcode or something, it's all right there on how to set it up on that main page. And then once you've set that up, when you log in after that, you'll come to this page that I'm showing on the screen. It'll automatically just pull you right up once you've enrolled.
Thank you so
Does
much,
that
Shannon.
help? Yes.
And
Any clarification, please ask me. Please, yeah.
any other like login user? I want to make sure any other lingering questions out there from
And if
anyone?
you have trouble when you start to log in and start to really use the system, just reach out to me or reach out to the USIIS system. We have people that are working on it 24/7 that can help you. And I'm going to show you where to reach out in a second.
Thanks so much, Shannon. We
Okay.
have another
Yeah,
one more question that's
you bet.
about, and maybe you're going to dive more into this, but thinking about if an immunization record in the USIS system is missing and they ask a parent and they get a copy of it, should they upload it to the system or is that someone else that's like the school? So clarify that for us if you can.
Okay, that's a very good question. I'm not sure. I think you have to submit it and then USIS uploads it or their provider. If they're out of state, they're not going to be able to, but we upload it. You don't need to worry about that part of this. But let me get that clarified how that works. If there's nothing for them or they're new, how we're going to get a copy of that record. I also think if they bring you something, really that's all you need. But if we want to put it into USIS, I need to find out about that. Because like, again, you're just wanting it for your records, correct? So if they bring you a paper copy, then you've got it. If they want to be enrolled in USIS, then let me find out who we give that to get them enrolled. Okay.
And then
Okay. Yeah.
sorry,
Go
Shannon,
on.
one
Yes.
more.
Yeah.
Clarifying, will our folks here on this call be registering by facility, organization, or by program? Or it's a little bit of that both. Your organization needs to have that agreement in place, and then once
Right.
that in place, individual folks from your organization can then create a login and be in the system. Connie, any further clarification with that, with what you put in the chat? I'm thinking maybe no. Think we're good. Okay. Thanks, Shannon.
Okay, you guys, I'm so not familiar with Zoom. I cannot get back to my screen because I've got this black tab across. Can someone, I'm just so much more used to Google Meets. Let me see. Okay, somehow it worked. It comes and goes. It lowers down and then it comes up. Okay, so we're going to go back to this login.
Hey, Shannon,
Yeah.
there seems to be a couple more questions back in the
Yeah, which
chat
is great.
still.
Please just fire them at me.
Okay. So Connie did say that she wasn't quite, I don't think she's clear on the answer yet. So will we be registering by facility or by program? And she just said no. So I'm not sure. Connie, do you want to clarify a little bit more what you're missing?
Oh, I was saying that I had no more questions. I apologize.
Oh, no more questions. Okay. All right. And then we got one more. Also, when I click to enroll my organization, it asks for a USIS provider ID. Is that required for enrollment?
I'll find out. I'm sure it is. But my guess is the user provider ID would be once your organization is signed up, they'll have an ID, and then you'll have your employees underneath that have access to work on this. But let me ask, is this an actual organization or an individual that's
They were
trying to?
asking for
When
an
I signed up,
organization.
sorry, when I signed up, I skipped that part and then they emailed me my ID.
Okay, thank
So-
you. Is your name Shani? That's cute. I'm Shannon. Okay, yeah. So I'm assuming when your department signs up, then you'll get your ID number through email. And again, if you don't, if you're having trouble, just reach out and we'll be sure to help you. So I've gone back to our Benjamin patient, okay? So I picked number 2. Let's pick a different option. Let's say I was looking for Benji that was born on January 1st. And let's say his real name was Benjamin, but we know this is probably him because his date of birth is right. So we're going to click on this one. Now, you're going to notice there's a lot more options here. And the reason why there's a lot more options is because this particular patient is affiliated with your organization. So there's a patient ID, all of this stuff. So you just have a little bit more options here. It doesn't mean that it's good or bad. It's just going to give you more options to do things. So like, let's say something's wrong on this. You need to change the gender or the birth date or the email or updated phone number. You just push edit mode and then you're able to do those things. I know in the first meeting I had with some of you, you were a little bit uncomfortable with changing things. I think demographics is fine. If you don't want them changing vaccines and things like that, you don't have to do that. Okay. So once you would edit something, let's say like we changed race to he's Black, African American, and then we go down and we just hit save. Okay. Not a big deal, but now you've got these different options up here. Okay, you're gonna, again, you're worrying about reports. If you were a provider officer, you would want to worry more about these. You're gonna come over to reports and we're back to this page again. And you'll notice here that this particular individual does have an exemption form. So let's say the parent's telling you, oh yeah, we're exempt. Well, you can come in here and look. So we're gonna click on this. And it's going to tell you exactly what the boy or girl is exempt from. And it looks like here it's chickenpox, Tdap, and Hep. Okay, so that's a good one for you to be aware of. One of the links to be aware of. And then also, we're back up here for your line of work. You're going to want to do the immunization school record. I keep going to that top one, and you don't need to do that one. That's going to give you more information than you want to know. So it's going to show this school record again. You're, depending on your organization, you're going to print it or you're going to download it, and then it's there for you, and you can know if they're up to date or not and can be in your program. And if not, you talk to the parent and you work with them, and hopefully they're compliant and there won't be a lot of problems. Okay, do we have further questions? Just interrupt me if you do. Okay, so talking about support, you can always reach out to me. I work in immunizations and I usually work with the HPV vaccine for adolescents, but so and I know about USIIS, I use it all the time, but as far as training, it's new to me too. So if I don't know the answer, I will get it for you. But you can also, on every link throughout this USIIS website, if you down to the bottom, there's a submit support request. And there are people that are working from 8 to 5 every day that just answer USIIS questions. So you would just click on that link and tell people what your question is. They can get back to you. If you want to talk to a live person, you can call us and we would be happy to help you. One thing I did want to show you on this, let me see where it is. And again, you don't have to worry about this very much, but while we're here, let's go over it. Okay, so let's see on our test patient. Let's go back to Benji number 2. And on the forecast, and again, this isn't going to be super important to you, but if you have a question about something, you can come into this more detailed forecast and you can see these little check marks that say forecast violation. And if you're wondering, so on the MMR, there was a forecast violation, meaning there was a problem, you can click on this little green button and it'll tell you what the problem is. Again, it's just if you have a question about one of the vaccines with the child, you need more detailed information, you can go to this forecast. But really for what you're doing is you just need that school report for your records. Okay, questions.
Yes, we have a question.
Okay.
It says, I'm still unsure about how to register my locations. I have registered the organization, but I have multiple sites. Do I register them individually and connect them to the organization, or does the organization registration work for all locations?
Okay.
So I'm going to give you a little more detail on this. So I think a lot of the people that are on this call today are like admin folks,
Okay.
and then they have individual programs that are in schools that would
Okay.
have different sites.
Mm-hmm.
Some may have site coordinators that would be in charge of this, others may not. It may be
Okay.
the admin person that is collecting all of the information for all of their sites, or it could be individual sites that may possibly be required to do this themselves.
Okay.
So I think the question kind of is do you need to have, can the organization itself have a login for everyone and be responsible for collecting, say, 28 sites?
Mm-hmm.
Or can another, or do they have to have their own logins for each individual school that they're downloading them for?
Okay, I'm not positive. I think it's the first, but I will find out and let you know. Lori, is the best thing for me to communicate that to you and then you communicate it out to these admin? Would that be
Yes,
the
that would, yeah.
approach? Okay, I will find that out. I can't imagine you have to do it for every single site, but I could be wrong on that. I hope it's not the case. I'm hoping you can do it once and then just filter down with your one agreement.
Another
And
question,
yeah,
Shannon, is around are there any features on in this website that would allow for like pulling bulk records or like batches of them? But you kind of the steps you showed was each youth looking up individually and then pulling their record individually. There's no like way to kind of
I,
do a
I
bulk
don't, I
grab.
think if you're a provider office, you can do that. You can pull batch records, but I think as a daycare or after school program, you're going to have to go into each individual person.
Yeah.
But I will double check that as well. How, let me just ask you, like, what's the biggest after school program that's on this call? Are they really big? Are they smaller? Or do we have all kinds in between? Lori, do you know?
All kinds in between, anywhere from 15 kiddos all the way up to maybe 150 plus.
Okay, got you. And how many after school programs do we have total?
How many do we have? 90
I
some
mean,
odd.
yeah, 90 some odd. Okay,
Yeah.
yeah, that's a lot. That's a lot. And has this not been happening before? Just curious. Is this a
No.
new thing that after school programs have to do?
Yes. Someone just said they have 900 youth. So there you go.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, but you've got a little bit of time. So don't just take a deep breath. And once you get the hang of it, it's going to go fast, especially if you can use that wild card, use that percentage, because that'll save you a lot of time. Then, because if you do even one letter off or number, or it's just going to be harder. Just use that percentage on the first name, put the last name in, and you'll already have their date of birth. You'll just go down and say, oh, there's my guy or my girl, and click on it. Now, on occasion, there are duplicates in USIIS, and you can send, if you're finding that there are two records, you can ask us through the support system to merge those records. And we actually really like that when we can clean it up. So you might have them with one provider and then they went to another provider and it just, they're in separately. So we like to be able to clean that up. So let us know when you see that.
Kristen provided a fact sheet that will answer this question, but just kind of like to go over it anyway. Our schools take place in a school. Our programs take place in a school. Children attend. Do we still need to collect immunization records when the school already has those records? The answer to that is yes, you do. You need to collect them, whether you get that from the school themselves. If you have those rights, you can get them from the school, but you would have to have an agreement with the school in order to get that. Otherwise, you need to come to USIIS or ask the parents to collect those. So you need to have those physical ability to collect or to show licensing those documents if they ask for them, which they will ask for them. So, and then another one was, how much time do we have to get this done? Is there a due date? Cassie, do you have an answer to that? Cassie's from licensing, and she's here with us today.
I believe you're on mute, Cassie, if you were speaking.
I was, thank you. I think this is something we're still kind of trying to figure out on our end. My understanding is that it is a CCDF requirement, so like as soon as possible. I think there are some questions from our end still on if all of the programs need to participate in the reporting that happens in January. So Shannon, maybe that's a question for you. If it's just collecting, then we first discussed this in the grant calls in August. So I believe we're kind of planning to do technical assistance for a little while. And then once we hit that year mark, so starting the new school year, we will be asking to see the records. But the question of reporting that's due in January is kind of something that is more on the health department side than ours. So couple different answers, still in progress, I think, for us.
Lori, remind me what Nazarene, who's over schools, said about that you're okay. You know, you need to get started on this, but you don't have to report until when?
So my understanding with that was that the schools will be the ones to continue to report for the annual immunization report itself. But the centers or programs are just needing to collect, and that is it. That they won't be required to do that annual immunization report.
Phew. One less thing. So I really think, in my opinion, that the trickiest part on this is getting onboarded, right? Getting your organization and getting whatever employees are going to be doing this registered. Once you get that, this part, it's like 3 steps. It's not super difficult. And then I think the fourth thing that's hard about this is if you don't have the person's information or they are behind on their vaccines, I don't know how how much time you give them. But if they're coming from the schools, it seems like they're doing the brunt of that if they're at school, they're probably going to be okay in your program. But so you just got some little hoops, but this part I showed you today is pretty swift. Once you get the 3, you're finding that form, you're looking for exemption, finding your person, and then downloading or printing, and that's it. Does that sound easy? And again, we're here to help you. If you get frustrated, you're like, oh, where do we start again? But I think the first step for all of you is to get that agreement and get your people in place. And we'll help them if they need to get registered or signed in. And then from there, you're off running. So I will double check about those 2 questions. So one is, can one site or one organization with multiple sites just have one agreement? And then if you can pull up things in batches. I don't think you can, but I'll check on that as well. And I'll let you know, Lori. Then you can get that information out. And my recommendation would be, once you're signed in, for those of you that are going to be doing this, just play around with it. Just play around with, put your own name in, and just kind of play around with using this system. And again, it's just person's information. Get it exact. If you don't know exact, only put in what you know is exact. Find the person, hit reports, find that school report, print and download, and then let the parent know if they're behind. And the exemption. Always look for the exemption. We're getting more of those, unfortunately. And if a parent says they have an exemption, it's not in here, you can tell them they've got to work on that. How else can I help? Any other questions? See one chat. Let's see. If it's missing and we ask a parent to turn in, where do we load this information? Okay, that was asked. I need to find that out. If you load it or if we load it. That was the third question. Thank you for that, Shani. I'll find that out.
So someone asked, just to clarify, this is for school-aged children 0 to 12. Yes, this does not affect any teen programs, so just your SAQ grant only.
And I also believe, Lori, for potential organizations that maybe are not currently receiving any DWS funding, but that want to keep their license exempt status, maybe you plan to apply for grants in the future, or you use that so that your team can be with the Utah After School Network incentive, for example, then that is a requirement. So if you have license exempt status through DWS, then you need to follow this. Correct,
Yes.
Lori?
Yes, anytime you are receiving any type of CCDF funding, this would be required of you and that. So like subsidy payments potentially could be CCDF funding. So if you're taking subsidy payments, that would also be required of that. So you can become non-DWS eligible, and you can talk to your licensor about how that all works. But there is that option to not be DWS eligible. But if you have our grant specifically, you will need to follow through with this.
Lori, how many schools do you think, or your after school programs, have an agreement with the schools just to interchange that information? Because that would be really helpful.
I think very few. I can think of I think we have 2 or 3 school districts as all. So I think it's not very many.
Yeah. It's going to be a lot in the beginning, but once you get this going, and then as new kiddos come, it's just starting, right? Jump starting this. It's gonna take a little time, but then it's gonna be like a smooth machine. You'll have it down.
I have a question about permissions from the schools. So, does anyone know, does it have to be the school that gives permission to give those records over, or is it parental consent to allow the school to share those records?
That's a good question, Lori.
On the fact sheet, I pulled a CCDF regulation of why we are allowed at this level to be able to pull immunizations with HIPAA. And so I've got the kind of the verbiage on that fact sheet of why that's allowed. So if somebody wanted to pull that up and maybe read what it says. Kristen, do you have access to that quickly?
Yes, I do. Thanks for your patience while I scroll over. And which part would you like me to read? The whole piece?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So this is, are there If the school has immunization records, is the after-school program required to have the same records for registered students? That one.
No, here I have it now. Are there any special rules we need to follow, such as who can see immunization records? What if a family cannot track down immunization records? So from the CCDF rule, it says a licensed healthcare provider may disclose proof of a student's immunization directly to a school nurse or other person designated by the school to receive immunization records if the school is required by the state or other law to have such proof prior to admitting the student, and a parent, guardian, or other person acting in local premises has agreed to the disclosure. And then there's a rule for that. And then we just went on to say that most children can be found in the USIIS system. So that's why we're able to do it, is it's that we've been given by law that we are in a position that we are able to pull those and get them from the parents. The parents have given your licensed physician, they would have something as far as being like when they get their immunizations, I think you sign some type of disclosure there that those can be released to other people, was my understanding of why we're able to gather them. Parents have given permission for those to be released.
And then also to your point, Lauren, I think I've heard from some folks out in the field that they would maybe be able to get like a list from school day personnel, like a yes, no, or an exemption. But as far as like, because what y'all will need for this are the physical, actual immunization documents. That I think that is something that school day personnel are not going to readily hand over like a copy to for program sites, is like my understanding. They're willing to say, here's a printout of, yes, all these people do have it on record, but the actual record itself. But I'm not 100% sure if that would be, if they did have the ability to have parents say, yes, I give permission to share that or give a copy to the after school program. I think that would be pretty localized to local school districts on their decision on that.
Yeah, I think you're better off to collect them on your own than go through that system and headache of release. Where this system is very easy to use, it's going to be a whole lot less headaches just to get onto the system and just download your own copy, have your own copies on your desk drive, or physical copies of those without going through the schools and going through that headache. But that's a personal opinion there.
I probably agree with that.
Well, we will go ahead and take all of the questions that were asked during this session and update that fact sheet. And then again, we'll very quickly in real time get this recording up live on our website. Lori and Trina, through their folders that are shared with you all, will get it shared as well. And like Shannon mentioned, sounds like she's going to be a great resource to you all, and you can reach out with questions that you have. And then, UAN's here to help navigate it however we can as well. And then you have Lori and Trina. So your support team is here, and we want to hear from you guys and want to support you through this. So again, up on the screen, just bookmark this. We're on our website. We're going to house this information, and then you have our email addresses. But thank you so much, Shannon, for hopping on with us today to give us this kind of introductory overview.
You bet. I hope it was helpful. And again, I will find out those answers and get back with Lori, hopefully today, if not by tomorrow. And then just reach out as your organization gets moving in this. And it seems overwhelming once you get into the system. And I feel bad I couldn't show you that because I'm already logged in, how to log in. It just shows that, are we all Utah employees? Is this, we're not. Okay.
No.
So if you're not going to know what that web page looks like. But if you are, it goes to this page where you log in. And if you don't have an account, it says create an account, and you just put in your information. And then, like Shani said, you will be emailed that code that you need within 24 hours. And then you can get in right where I was. So if you have trouble with the login part, call me or reach out through Lori, and I can even call you and walk you through it.
And Holly, did you display earlier the Shannon's contact information?
Interesting what Connie just said. I was able to use the same login I have for doing background checks. So she's already in the system. Yeah. And it sounds like not all of you, that's going to be the case, but you might be surprised, but it just works. Go ahead.
Actually,
Sorry, Lori, what was your question?
Now that Connie says that, yes, if you, and everybody should run their background checks through childcare licensing and would have access to the CCL portal, that would give you that Utah ID. So that step is probably good to go for everyone that has access that does background checks anyway. If you have a portal and you have access to that portal, you will have that Utah ID.
Am I showing the screen that has Shannon's email address on it? Are folks seeing
You
that?
are.
Okay, great. Awesome. All right, you guys, I think with that, yeah, go ahead.
Sorry,
Yeah.
there's one other question in the chat. Connie asked, would our USIIS be the same number as our facility in the portal?
I believe so, but I'll check on that. I'll let you know.
I believe that question is about the childcare licensing portal. I believe the facility number is specific to our system that we use for childcare licensing.
Oh, okay.
So it probably wouldn't be the
probably
same
different.
facility.
Sorry, I didn't realize it was with that. Yeah,
Yes,
you're
yeah.
probably right. No,
Yeah.
right.
But if it is, that would be great to know. That would be a great help, I'm sure.
All right, if there aren't any further questions, thank you all for dropping in for this session, and we will, in quick turnaround, get those additional questions answered, get stuff up on the website, and we'll go from there. So enjoy the rest of your day, everyone.
Good luck, everyone. Going to be great.